Hello everyone. I am back today to talk to you all about the topic of limiting beliefs and how they get in the way of our life's success and what we can do to challenge and change them. But before we get into all that, I just wanted to reintroduce myself. My name is Evie Amato, and I am a manifestation and spiritual alignment coach for females. So if you're tired of the status quo and you are living a life where you are in pursuit of your purpose and wanting to live in alignment with that, then these videos are for you. And lastly, when this video is over, I would be so honored if you would check out the links down in my comments section. One, so that you can download a free meditation that I've put together for you all about activating abundance in your life. And two, so that you can register for my 10-day manifestation challenge, which begins in a few weeks. March 15th is when we kick it off. So now that that's all out of the way, let's dive into this big topic of limiting beliefs. So what is a limiting belief exactly? Well, a limiting belief is really just a belief that limits what we believe to be true and possible for ourselves. So it keeps us from thinking big and from attracting or dreaming about or pursuing our desires because we don't believe that we can actually achieve whatever they are. And beliefs are core aspects of who we are. They contribute to our identity and how we show up in the world. They really shape us. Oftentimes, these beliefs are developed in early childhood. Sometimes they're passed down in family systems, so they are deeply ingrained in our conscious and unconscious minds. Another way of looking at limiting beliefs or understanding them is that they are hardwired assumptions that we have made based on our perceptions or interpretations of our life's experiences. So oftentimes these are not facts, they are not based in truth, they are based on our assumptions. So something happened to us way back when we were young, and that contributed to us making an assumption or having a thought about ourselves and the world around us. But it doesn't really just stop there, because the next time a similar event occurs, those old feelings reoccur. Those old thoughts are reintroduced, and therefore those old beliefs are reinforced. And this happens again and again and again. And our brain, being the effective organ that it is, it's looking for opportunities to organize and sort through the crazy amount of information and data that's coming in, whether that's fact or fiction. So if the brain recognizes that there's a new experience that's closely related to a familiar old territory, or that experience is closely related to a feeling that we had when that old belief was born, well, then it's easier and more efficient to just lump it all in with those old beliefs again. And the kicker in all of this is that over time, we can't help ourselves but truly believe that the way we feel is truth, when it's still only an assumption and an interpretation. It is not fact. It is not a fact. It wasn't then, and it's not now. So examples of limiting beliefs are things like, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'll never be able to do that, or I can't do that. I have failed, or I will fail, or I'm a failure. I'll be judged, or I'll never be as good as them. And even things like generalizations like money doesn't grow on trees, or life just isn't fair, or really personalized things like I'm just not pretty, or I'll never lose the weight, or I'll never make enough money, I'll never receive love, or I'm just not worthy. So you're probably realizing that some of these things are familiar, right? We all have these stories. We all have these beliefs. We all talk to ourselves in this way sometimes. But the more that we allow these types of belief loops to play and replay in our brains, the more they will end up shaping our identity, and the more they will end up influencing our choices and our lives in so many major ways. And this is why I'm here talking about this, and I'll ask you, if you have goals that you're trying to reach, and if your underlying beliefs don't align with supporting you and nurturing you towards those goals, then it's time to realize that those beliefs are limiting, and it's time to clear and release them. And so we can do that. And I'm going to help you do that in just a minute. And because the last thing I want to say is that when you start to do this introspective and reflective work, it is really common as a defense mechanism for our mind to kick in and want to hang on to those limiting beliefs. And this is because, number one, there was a time in our lives where the belief likely served and protected us. And number two, they have been so ingrained in who we are and how we've processed our life as a whole that they feel comfortable, they feel predictable, they feel like home to us, they feel safe. But there's that great quote, and I love the quote, and it says, if we fight for our limitations, we get to keep them. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to fight for these. We can choose to show up differently. So it's important to acknowledge that the change is hard, but that we are more interested in moving forward into our limitless potential than remaining stuck in a limited mindset. So how do we go about moving past and breaking down these limiting beliefs? Not just breaking them down, but replacing them with stories that are aligned with who we know we are and where we want to go. And we can do this in 5 steps. And it's easier than you think. It just sometimes takes a bit of practice. So the first step, which is pretty much the first step in everything that I talk about, is awareness. The first step is becoming aware of when our thoughts are rooted in that limiting belief. So we need to pay extra close attention to our thoughts, and we need to sort of separate ourselves from that dialogue that's constantly running in our minds. And let's remember that we're not attached to that dialogue. And it's time that we challenge it and instead choose to speak from a place of truth and positivity and abundance for ourselves, that we deserve that. So the instant that we can catch a thought that's based in a limiting belief and discern it as a belief and not a fact, that is when we can take our power back. So paying attention. Number 2, we want to name the belief. We're aware, and now we're identifying the limiting belief so we could say it out loud. And here's where you can do some deeper work as you identify the belief to try to understand how it got there in the first place. Number 3, this is a little counterintuitive perhaps, but I suggest that we thank the belief. Let's thank it for how it has served and protected us thus far. It's traveled a long way with us. It's journeyed a long way with us. So let's honor it, acknowledge it, and while we're at it, let's forgive ourselves and forgive others, and maybe even the past experiences themselves for allowing those beliefs to come into our life. The 4th step is to disprove the belief. So here's where you can go a little deeper as well. We want to take a look at the belief and write out all of the ways in which the belief is actually not true. And we're sticking with facts here, but grab a pen, a paper, write out all of the ways in which you know that that belief is not true in your life. And I'm sure you can come up probably with at least 3 reasons for every belief that you have. And lastly, we want to release and replace the belief. So releasing that belief, we're letting it go, and we want to replace it with another one that is true, but also that is supportive and in alignment with our big goals and our big vision. So I do a lot of this work in my coaching, one-on-one, and in groups in my membership. And I encourage you to take a look at this, to begin this work for yourself. It might be helpful, as I mentioned, to process and move through these 5 steps on paper so that you can really flesh out your thoughts, but give it a try. Think about it. What are the most influential limiting beliefs that have been your companions in your life? And what would it be like? What would you be like? How would you feel? How would you show up differently if you could really let them go? So I hope this discussion was helpful and beneficial. I would be so honored if you could like this video, if you felt that it was helpful to you, and please subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified when more videos are released. Next week, I'm breaking down an introduction on manifestation, and I cannot wait to see you next time.